And we're back. I apologize why every Site-42 critique lab ends up in a two-parter because the site crashes. But let's pull up the chat on the new video and continue our dive into what it means to be human. Chat is up. Here we are. So what was I saying before that lagged out and crashed? We need a balance of enough story and being told, shown/told, shown not tell, but we need the story to be pushed through more. Because there are assumptions that people don't see at all or wait too long to be caught. 059 being at fault for this comes in way too late. Right now, it doesn't tell us that we sent Jesse to the wrong dimension. It's just glazed over so small that it's easy to miss. And with so much stuff, we just need extra. We need more context. And we do need to shorten it a little bit because people are cross-eyeing. So actually, I don't know if so yes, for final reference, at least what I would do is Jesse Mantell, slug with an 059 ethics committee note. Honestly, I feel like Dr. Blank's note that we're not relegating him to the gallows isn't too important in a version that doesn't have the U. Like, it's kind of something where we try and humanize. If I erase the segment when Jesse gets wrecked, people assume 059 is Jesse, or ask why Jesse gets the powers instead. Interesting. And for context, this is the 6th version of this skip, and it's been up on the site in 2 different iterations and come back down due to downvotes. So this is an uphill battle we're fighting. And okay, so here's another thing. I don't actually know what happens to 059. It's never okay, self-deletion, not downvotes. But I don't know what happened to 059 at all. It never mentions him again. It doesn't say he got deleted from history. It doesn't say that they did something with him. He just... So that's something I'm annoyed with. I don't know if he got his comeuppance or anything. See, the chat mentioned, is he reality bended away? No, unconfirmed is a guy who gets reality bended away, but it never mentions 059. So he's in prison but cannot be killed due to 963-2. We need to know that. There's a lot of stuff we don't need to know, and there's stuff we do need to know. Where 059 went, we need to know. We need to know that Jesse went in to the wrong universe and why. Because that's a very interesting thing that's not mentioned at all. Even to the point where it's hard to tell that he went to the wrong universe in the Delta Corbin article part as it is. This is going to have a hell of a lot of cross-links in it to get some points across. Like, how can we get... one point that's going on in the chat right now is that I still don't know what 963-2 is. Read 963 then. We don't really need that's in this article at least, because this has nothing to do with that particular piece. That's just a background history of 059. So thankfully that's not something, because remember, you want every SCP to be understood without looking like anything else, or looking at anything else. You want your story to stand on its own. So the question is, does this stand without having to look at any other articles? And mostly. There are a lot of things that are enhanced by knowing, though, and those things, yeah, like, of course not. So yes, we need to trim this. We need to... Yeah, this... You can tell a story including other articles, but it has to live on its own. The author says in the chat, but it's Series 4. And Series 4 does not excuse that. That is... I cannot think of a lot of articles that don't stand on their own. There might be an article that requires another article, but I don't even think that's the case. Because the goal of the story is you have to be able to explain it within the current skip, even if another skip is part of it. SCP-3143 tells you everything you need to know about Murphy Law without you having to read SCP-3043. You don't need to read 3043 to read 3143. So if 3143 is the first thing you read, yes, it's a little pataphysical and hard. It's hard in that sense, but it does not need the other ones. Your article has to stand on its own. I'm pretty sure, at least mostly sure, that you can't give me an article on the wiki that omits information that you need to read another SCP to understand. That's a problem in the writing. That's not, you can't rely on the other articles to carry weight for you. Just like, that is a less common form of cross-linking problem. Because the cross-linking problem we all know is linking to a popular article to make yours seem better. Just kind of leeching off the popularity of an already good article. You don't do that. And you don't link to another article to rely on its strength. Or you don't just link to a Series 1 article, but that's more of a guideline than a rule. Linking to a later article is better because we don't do it as much. So those are the three sins of cross-linking I can think about. Relying on popularity, relying on for knowledge, or doing Series 1's kind of iffy. So you need to rely on your own story. You can't use another story to tell your story. The Technobabble's fine as long as the story inside is fleshed out. You need to find a way to get Jesse Mantell to... Man, just... God. So much. There's so much going on here. The author states, less relying on it for info, more on it because these characters have already been fleshed out, and it would be redundant of me to add the info already stated elsewhere. That is not true. That is a bad call in this case. In all cases, you have to give a minimal amount. You need to tell the audience what they need to know for your story to work. Like 059 has a long history, so they don't need to know his whole history, but they need to know that he has a thirst for immortality. That is the thing they need to know in this story to understand it. So if you don't tell them he has a thirst for immortality, then they won't know why he's doing any of this. It's cool that in every story he's in, he is looking for reality. The author points out, yes, it's indicated in the interview. Yes, but that interview is just an after-the-fact, long info dump. What happened is, at least as far as I can tell, is you had a skip, and people didn't understand it, so you tacked on an interview explaining it. And instead, what should have happened is you should have sparsed this information little by little throughout the skip. That way, the story is told during, rather than just, here's a long thing I don't understand, and here's what actually happened. You want this to be understandable. That's the important part. So that interview was a bad idea in this case. Exposition interview that just says everything above should just be facts that we got throughout the skip. The author says, but I really like the interview and want to keep it because it goes into the dilemma of inevitable destruction. You can go into that dilemma somewhere in the original. It would be better for you to have that giant exposition dump, get rid of Harding altogether in the interview, have the ethics committee talk to 059 himself and bug him. We have another SCP where the 05s argue with the ethics committee, and the ethics committee stages a coup and takes over and becomes the new 05s. Like, you can use the 05s for this kind of purpose. Or if you want it coming from someone else, I still think it should be way shorter and put in somewhere. Like, even a much shorter interview linked to an ethics committee note next to the generator itself would be better, because then at least your explanation happens during the story and not at the end. Because a story that makes us scratch our heads and have a headache and then dumps all the information at the end, that's just bad story structure. Crack. Because there are good themes. The theme of 059 doing what he's doing for a selfish purpose or an altruistic purpose is interesting. The idea of an outside observer, Harding, trying to guess his purposes and hedging his bets on the good because of a nihilistic outlook that everything's going to end anyways, is interesting. The researchers trying to save Jesse could be interesting, but we don't have enough of him right now. It's a lot of people talking about Jesse rather than us really meeting the character and dealing with his plight. So Jesse Mantell. He says, what, 4 lines in the story that's half about him? In the incident log. Researcher Mantell. 1, 2 lines. Mantell has 2 lines and then 2 lines after the translation. So he has 4 lines of dialogue. One of our 2 main characters, our subject. Jesse is psychotic by the time he gets shipped as a result of his condition, says the author. Show me that. That sounds awesome. So there's a concept in story writing that says, if this is, a lot of people like do flashbacks, or like they'll say, hey, remember that Uganda incident in 1973? And the thought is, if that is more interesting than what we're seeing, show us that. And the author says, it's in the document I sent you on Discord, and what I'm saying is, it should be in this document somewhere. Because him getting turned into an X-Man isn't interesting. Him going insane and reality bending and forcing them to send him away and being sent to a wrong place where they blow up an entire galaxy by accident, the populated galaxy. That is super interesting. That is the story your skip needs to be telling. And right now it isn't. So, alright, he is saying, I think it would be prudent that you see it, as it looks like it's definitely making it into the final draft. Let's go in. I'm opening Discord. I can't see the YouTube chat because I got Discord open. What's going on? Blah, 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 blah. New mentions. Ba-da-da-da. In general. Ba-da-da-da. Google Doc. Alright, characters. Jesse, Jerry, Messer. It's like three names of the same guy. Jesse plus Jerry equals Messer. I hear them. You hear what, Jesse? The most important ones. And why are they important? Sir, ratings are spiking dramatically. I'm trying to calm him down. They want to take me. Jesse, you need to stay here. Do not go with whoever you hear. He turns to the microphone. He's delusional. We can't keep him much longer. No, don't do it. Please, we're almost having a breakthrough. It's going to have to happen. He's going to be critical soon. Ratings are reaching. Readings are reaching critical condition. No, we have it. We almost have it. We were so close to finding a cure. We simply need the proper dosage values and then... They just want to help. They just want me to come with them. Mantel, snap out of it. Jesse! Jesse! It's okay, Jerry. I'm going to see them. Engaging the arsenic. Please insert and turn your safety keys. The psychologist and Messer both to insert the key and turn it. No, I won't do it. He'll die outside of the chamber. And we'll die with him here. You're acting like an idiot, not a scientist. Insert your key. He'll stabilize. I'm not doing it unless it's truly necessary. Turn the key now. Jerry turns the key, initiating the slowly moving track hooked to 3 more visor restraints. The room is quiet. The only sound being the whooshing of the portal and the motors in the back wheels. Wormhole destabilizing. I don't know what's causing it. It's the excess reality. It's affecting the portal. We must get him out. No, we don't know if it'll work. Abort. Okay. So, still not the most interesting part, though. I'm glad we're going to have a conversation about this document. Because we're going to talk about this now. That interview is 9% two guys arguing over whether they are going to save Jesse or whether they're going to shoot him away. Jesse is mumbling about others. I don't know who those others are. I can't tell from the text. I have no clue. I don't know if they're important. And by the way, I'm back in the YouTube chat now. So hi, YouTube chat. Brad Barman, I have no idea what's going on right now. That's fine. Jack, he's just crazy. Okay, so he's just crazy. He's lost his brain. But in this case, number one, just off tangent, he's just crazy is never as fun as if there's a different meaning. So if there is something cool we can slide in there that's like a sly reference or a callback to something, or if he is going psychotic, maybe he's going back to the day of the incident and he's reliving the incident and like he's trying to fix the crystal that broke or something. But it should be more than just gibbering about nothing. There should be more to that crazy slash vision slash whatever it could be or isn't. There should be more to it than just meaningless stuff. That's just more literacy interesting. Literacy interesting. That's not a thing you say. Okay. Second, most of this is on the ethical dilemma of getting rid of him or keeping him. But at no point during this does his reality bending misfire, except for the portal in the very last second. What if what if, like, as I said earlier, what if a table turned into a dog? What if things were happening? And they're like, oh my god, this is getting really, really crazy. We better do something. My clipboard has turned into sandstone, and it's really heavy, and my pen is now a worm. Things that, like, show reality is bending despite the safety precautions. Because he is the most powerful reality bender that's ever been. That's what happened in the recovery log. In the recovery log, really? Incident report. Do you mean the incident report? Because the only thing that happens in that incident report is his arm goes through a desk. Like, I don't think that's enough. Like, does an explosion, something exploded, he wipes a dude and becomes intangible. Like, and I don't even know why he wipes a dude. That's a thing. Why did he wipe that dude? Did that dude do something to him? Is that Christensen? Did he deserve to go? Does he know something now? It's accidental. He randomly wiped, but it's accidental to Mantell, but it has to have a reason in the inner workings of the story. Like, is this guy a guy he didn't like? And that's why when he heard his voice, it annoyed him, and so he got rid of him. Like, I hate that guy, I wish he wasn't here. Poof. It's not enough for it just to be a random occurrence. That's the thing. Insanity shouldn't just be random. George Drool as a character only existed to be wiped. And that's not a good character. And you don't want a bad character. You don't want someone who just exists to get wiped and then disappears. You should have his backstory in your head. You should know who he is. You should know why he exists as a character besides just getting wiped. You should know his relationship to him. Because him, like, earlier in the thing, in a random dialogue saying, I never liked that guy. And now he doesn't exist. That's kind of interesting. There's all sorts of... You've got the bare bones of what? You've got a whole lot of what, but you don't have why. And why is the most important question? Because why is the reason we care. Right now, a bunch of stuff happens, but we all either don't get it or don't care. And we will care if we care, we will fight through technobabble to get it. But if we don't care, we just kind of shake our heads and go, what was that? So you need to go in and you need to think about these things because no part of a story exists just to exist. There should be freaking, every character should have a meaning and a purpose. And every character has wants. This is why they exist. This is their relationship to everyone else. You write out outlines and character maps. This is this person. He exists. It'd be interesting if there were like blank places where he didn't exist or was like wiped from history. I don't know. There's so much. There is so much here. Courts point out there is no why. It's a reality bender, aka meaning has no meaning, anything can happen. That is false. That is false. Because reality has meaning based on what the reality bender says. Based on what they want. SCP-3999 is a reality bender. And it has a want. It wants to write a story. Or in universe, it wants to torture Talaran. It wants to do both. It mainly wants to write a story, and it's kind of torturing Talaran by accident, except at some points, it's doing it on purpose. But it has, the meaning is in the reality bender's meaning. So when something is wiped from existence, it has to have meaning to the reality bender. Court says 3999 is a perfect example of my point, and I say 3999 is the opposite of your point. Reality bending, the most important thing is the bender, what they do, and why. Nothing happens without a reason. Even a reality bender bends reality for a reason. I don't remember the number of the Series 1 little girl reality bender. But if she bended reality by accident, it was because she thought something. So when she thought Santa Claus was real, it spawned a Santa Claus. That's the kind of thing. If If she decided she wanted something, it happened. If she decided something was real, that thing existed. It was linked to her. Nothing just happened without a thought. It always had a purpose. 3999 has a purpose. And if you don't know what the 3999 purpose is, then if you don't know what the 3999 purpose is, I actually made a video talking all about it. It's a 10-minute explainer on 3999. Go check that out because it'll get you and it'll make more sense. Now going back to the author for a second, I feel Mantell stretches his arm out to drool and helps him to stabilize, physically, not reality-wise, and blew him out of reality. So you're saying he basically Iron Manned him out of reality. Like, he threw up his arm and a wave of reality knocked him out. I think if he was using this guy to stabilize him, I think all of the sudden, that guy would all of the sudden become a fixed point in time and immovable. He is so stable that he reaches out and touches him, and now that guy can't move or change ever again. He is a fixed point in time because the reality bender needed to be able to stabilize himself. That is what a reality bender accidentally does when they try to stable himself and they don't understand their power. That was a cool idea. I like that. I feel happy about that. All right. So yes, that is the kind of thing you think of. You think of why something is happening, or you think of what you want to happen. You want, or what the character has, and then you go extrapolate from why. It's I just watched a great series. So for all of you writers, we're now getting like way off topic. So I'm going to end this with a quick summary of everything I think before we chat in the chat a little more for funsies. And that is basically this skip, we're worried about the story structure and we're worried about why. We're worried about the length a little bit and we're worried about making sure that the audience knows what's going on, not through assumption, but through showing, more showing, less telling. Show us what happens, document what happens. SCP documents are weird because a lot of it has to be tell instead of show, because that's why, oh my god, I'm about to get off on such a tangent, but I need to finish the sentence. So, you need to make sure the document speaks for itself. No other document can help. It can elaborate on other things outside of this document, but this document needs to stand alone. Probably needs to be shorter. Make the explanation fit into the actual documents rather than being an ending interview, even if you got to put parts of the interview in there. All right, cool. So the author is leaving. We're going to talk shop a little while longer, but thanks for the draft. Learn something about this skip. I think everyone learned something about writing and critiquing, and I can't wait to see a rewrite of this that gets to being site ready. What tangent was I going to go on? Now that the skip is done. Quartz, I want to make something about Spooky-J making his own gaming channel and making it an ARG. I'm just saying I would die to do a Spooky-J gaming channel. That would be really funny. Just as Let's Plays as Spooky-J. That would be hilarious. But if you want to learn more about writing and about how to do stories the way I do, and I'm going to send this link to Jack since he has to get off if he doesn't see it, but look up a channel called Nightmind. Nightmind, run by a guy named Nick Nocturne, is a brilliant channel that looks down different it looks over different horror things, and it explains the stories, and it shows the clues that you should have seen while watching Marble Hornets, Tribe 12, Petscop, all these different online web series, and it goes into the depths of the writing, and it goes into the kind of things where if you study this, you become a better writer. Because you're studying, and I'm a college dropout. I've written one SCP article I'm not hugely qualified to go into writing. I'm just trying to help out. But I go to every source I can who does these explanations, and I take in what they do. I listen to critics. I listen to Game Theory does some good stuff sometimes. Nightmare Masterclass is a newer channel that kind of does what Nightmind does. So if you like Nightmind, Nightmare Masterclass is also amazing in the same vein. But going back to Nightmind, he has a series called How to Make a Web Series. And it teaches you how to make a YouTube series or an ARG or stuff like that where you're writing fiction. Watch it all. It gives you like several tracks to go down. Watch it all. If you want to write stories, watch that entire series because he teaches you all about how good stories are made. And if you want to be good at the SCP, you need to know how good stories are made by itself. Then you can make good SCPs. And finally, the one thing that I'm going to give you from that class on Nightmind's channel, How to Make a Web Series on Nightmind, go check it out, is twisting. And he talks about this in a couple of the tracks. But twisting is what I just did to Jack's idea. It's the idea of taking something you see and then extrapolating. Saying, what would happen if this happened from here? In this case, we wanted him to accidentally... he wanted him to reach out to somebody to stabilize himself, but instead blow that person out of existence. That doesn't make sense in the mind of the reality bender. So what would happen if a reality bender who didn't know his powers thought, I need to stabilize myself. Let me put my hand on you to stabilize myself. What would that do to a person? They would become the most stable object in the planet, ever. They would be immovable, fixed point in time, can't be moved. They are now a statue. That's the kind of thing an out-of-power reality bender would do by accident because they didn't know their powers, but they wanted to stabilize themselves. So that kind of, what would happen if this scenario is what's missing from a lot of things. So that's why bad stories get made. That's why stories where you don't care about it gets made, because the logical leap isn't there. You want a starting point and you want to go from there as to why this happens. And the great thing about that is when you write a story from a point and you keep twisting, all of the sudden, number one, your entire story always makes sense. And number two, you get in really interesting directions that no one's ever gone before, because you're not thinking of this is what I want to happen. You're thinking, what would happen if this happened? What would happen if that happened? Most TV shows aren't written all the way start to finish. They start at a point, and every episode, they twist from there to the next story. And that's why every show that does that goes in wildly different directions. Okay. I had a headache from the article, and okay, I just cackled because I was about to sign off, but the author Jack is still here. Go check out Nightmind series, read it all, listen to it all. But I changed my mind. The voices that are talking to Jesse are successful articles, and they want him to join them. That is ridiculous. That is comically ridiculous. And it's so out there. And as a concept, I find it hilarious and ridiculous, and I love it. The only thing is I don't think it'll fit in the serious tone of everything else you're doing. Because that is meta, whereas everything else is reality bending. And while 3999 is meta about... okay, so Jack, you say you won't say it, but it's my author headcanon. Okay, so you're not like going to change it. All right. Or you might change something, but interesting. Because yeah, there's the witch girl who bends reality but is still constrained to the story. And then there's 3999, which you might say is meta because it messes with the format, but it actually doesn't mess with the meta of the site. It doesn't do anything pataphysical. 3999 doesn't. Okay, it does comment on it being a story when the author talks to us and tells us what the story's about. So, yes, sometimes reality bending can go so far as to go into meta. Reality bending and meta are separate, but they can come together. So you just need to blend those things well. I'm not sure how that's going to go. I can't wait to see how it turns out. Maybe it'll be amazing. Maybe it won't be. But just keep thinking of why. This is where I'm starting. What happens, and does that make sense? And if you can grow that web, I think this story might be better. So with that, I want to thank you guys for tuning into the Site-42 Critique Lab. I hope this helped you guys. I hope you guys enjoyed the show. I hope you guys had enjoyed hanging out with me. If you want to submit your draft, because I don't have a draft for next week right now, you can submit your, please be it like mostly finished. That way we're not like just doing spelling, grammar. Submit it to scpsite42@gmail.com. You can submit your draft and we'll go over it next week. Beyond that, if you like the channel, if you like what we're doing, do all those YouTube things like liking, sharing, subscribing, Patreoning. Keep an eye on the merch store, guys, because I just got some things and they're not up yet at this exact minute. But by the end of the day, there's going to be some new merch, and I think you're going to like it. I got some, I've been talking to some artists. We got some things going on. It's going to be hip. It's going to be cool. It's going to be rad. So yeah, that's that. Thank you guys. See you next time, Foundation staff. Poke you in the face until the phone responds.